now that we have a Super Bowl champion, it is time to look forward to the offseason. Some are happy to be in the offseason. Others are still trying to just let go of Sunday Super Bowl. But anyway, it's just time to move on to the offseason, because the greatest thing about the NFL is it never stops. Free agency starts March 1st. The combine is in a couple weeks. And most importantly, the draft is just right around the corner. Right now, we are still in the process of finding representatives. Here is an update of all the teams that we need still for the fan mock draft. We still need Cincinnati, Buffalo, New Orleans, the 12th overall pick that Cleveland has, thanks to the Eagles, the Arizona Cardinals, Baltimore Ravens, Washington Redskins, Detroit Lions, the Seattle Seahawks, and your Super Bowl champions, the New England Patriots. Because we found a Houston representative the other day. As well, thank you to the 8 people that have submitted their draft picks so far. Mason Talks representing the Cleveland Browns. Bearclaw 12 representing San Francisco. Duncan representing the Chicago Bears. Jax 4K representing the Jaguars. Dinerbird 55 representing the Titans. Jet Central representing the New York Jets. Smokey Burr representing the now Los Angeles Chargers. And King Cam 4 representing the Carolina Panthers. So while we're in the talks of the draft, this is kind of a segment of which teams can draft their way into the playoffs. Now, I came up with 3 teams that have a great shot of drafting their way into the playoffs. First team is kind of a bit of an obvious one, but the Tennessee Titans. I mean, this is obvious to some, others this could be a surprise. I feel like the Titans really draft smart this year. I feel like they can find their way into the playoffs. That maybe you can anticipate them trading away one of their 2 first-round picks for a second-round pick, as they have no second-round pick this year. So maybe you take a solid player with the 5th overall pick, and then when it comes to pick 18, you probably look to trade up a couple of slots in that mid-first round, or maybe you trade that away for a second-round pick. In fact, if we look down the list, I'm going to pull it out again. Teams that I could see the Titans trading for. I could see him maybe trading with Green Bay. I could see maybe trading with Kansas City. Maybe Oakland. Tampa Bay in a little bit of a sense, but it's kind of a stretch. Because Tennessee drafts 18 and Tampa Bay drafts 19th. So it would be kind of pointless to trade with somebody like Tampa Bay, as they are only moving maybe at the maximum, maybe 1 spot, if they're to trade the 18th pick. But I do see the Titans trading one of the 2 picks. I feel like they're not going to draft somebody with both of those picks. I feel like one of those picks is going to be traded to another team. Or they will attempt to. I mean, they did really good in their draft last year. They picked up some solid offensive line help. But I feel like what they can still improve on is I think they need one more wide receiver, probably another offensive tackle. They're really good at the running back position with DeMarco Murray and Derrick Henry. Second team that I can see drafting their way into the playoffs is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, the Buccaneers had a great season last year. Just missed the playoffs. Maybe if a couple different things went a little bit differently, maybe we would have found themselves in the wild card spot. Because for toward the end of the season, toward about the last week, they were in the playoff hunt. They were in the hunt most of the season after the midway point. They pull off upsets against teams like Seattle, only allowing 5 points against them. They beat Atlanta in week 1. They started off the season really well. What I feel like the Tampa Bay needs, kind of like what Tennessee needs. Probably a wide receiver to complement Mike Evans, especially if you can't re-sign Vincent Jackson in free agency. maybe you need. I feel like maybe they should draft a corner. They're considering it. I feel like they need to draft a future elite corner. So I feel like Vernon Hargreaves, he's kind of got it, but I feel like he's too small to compete against Julio Jones or Brandon Cooks or even Kelvin Benjamin. Because their secondary is probably one of the shortest, if not the shortest, in the NFL. Especially when you play teams like the Panthers, their wide receivers have a significant height advantage over those corners. I could see maybe Tampa Bay trying to trade up. I could see maybe trying to get an extra pick out of the deal. I could see a bunch of different things happening. You can also use an offensive lineman to get some protection off Jameis Winston. Because you know a team like Atlanta is going to come out hungry next year. Especially just basically, in a sense, inches or minutes away from a Super Bowl championship. So you know they're going to come out with fire to be in the year. Now the last team I feel like can draft win the playoffs, the Baltimore Ravens. Now if you think how close they were to win the AFC North last year, if they would have just held up Antonio Brown just about an extra inch and a half, Baltimore's in the playoffs, as they would have won the AFC North. And they proved me wrong this year. I believe I remember saying that the Ravens would probably have one of, if not the worst teams in the NFL last year. I said they were going to. And it was going to be the last straw with John Harbaugh. But they proved me wrong. They continued to win games. They started the season really well. Won their first handful of games. Then it kind of went down south a bit, but then they went right back up toward the end. They were just short of winning their division. However, your division has Cleveland in it. And Cincinnati, they really struggled this year. So I feel like if they can draft smart, they could find their way into a wild card bid next year. Meanwhile, one of these days I'm going to do a video. It may not be tomorrow, but I'm going to do one with 3 teams that may not draft their way into the playoffs. I'll see. Well, that's going to do it. Like and subscribe to the channel. Share this with your friends, family. NFL never stops. Anyway, if you want to represent any of the teams left, comment down below. Once again, we need Cincinnati, Buffalo, New Orleans, Cleveland Browns, 12th pick, Arizona, Baltimore, Washington, Detroit, Seattle, and New England. And that's going to do it. Have a great day, everybody. See you next time.